Welcome, everyone. This is the Purpose for Life podcast. I'm your host, Suzanne Roberts, author of It's Deeper Than That and founder of The Great Reconnection. And I am thrilled and honored to have with us today Joe Dalton from Ireland. And thank you, Joe, so much for joining us on the show.
When you say that, I'm envisioning trumpets playing.
Maybe Brian can do that for us. He can play trumpets before you.
Trumpets.
Yes, I think he could do. I know he can. Brian, do you hear that? Trumpets for Joe.
Trumpets.
Yes. Sounds amazing. My first question for you is I know that you have a longing for It's Deeper Than That. And while you're a businessman and you have a company that focuses on businesses, can you share with our listeners what woke you up to something more than what you can produce and earn in the physical world?
What woke me up to the reality of life and who we are and what we are about, outside work or inside work, or a human being as a whole?
You get to answer all of the above.
All the above. Well, I talk business all the time, so let's step out of the business world and into the world of who we are as humans. And what woke me up, the reality woke me up probably in my 30s when I started questioning the world, because I kind of figured out that people in this world, there was a lot of suffering and everybody was trying to get by. And I questioned something which went back from going back to when I was probably 18 or 19. And the question I had then was, life should be easy. But for some reason, it's not for a lot. And I can see my father, who was a man with 7 children and worked from 6 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. And he was a fitter engineer. And when he was rearing children, it was custom that once a woman was married, she had to give up her job. So my father was there, who was rearing and putting a roof over our heads and feeding us, had to work all those hours. And there's one thing that he said to me, and I've never actually said this before, and it's just come to me. He can remember when he was a young boy and his mother was raking out the fire and she had a hole in her shoe and she had some cardboard in the shoe. And you have to think this is the early 1900s. And at that time, he made a conscious decision that his children will never go without. And he put in that time and effort, blood, sweat, and tears to provide for everyone. Now, the Dalton gene, as I believe, we're highly educated, very much entrepreneurial, and very much driven. So in my youth, I was always, the one who wanted to try and take control, the one who tried to map out a way so to help everybody. So being the youngest of 7, you kind of be a people pleaser, try and help people all the way. And I asked the question, life has to be easy. Why there's so many people on the road hungry, or why are there people having issues paying their mortgages, or why is there a recession, or these questions. And it came to me then in my 50s, I'd say, that if someone wants to relieve the pain from what they're experiencing, first they have to understand who they are, understand that everything is happening to them. They should be experiencing instead of reacting to everything. and focus in on getting really, really, really good at one thing. And when you get really good at that one thing, becoming that expert, clarity can happen. And clarity is something which is key for the ether divinity to bring in what we want. But if you get really good and work on it, it gives you a stronger purpose. And then things can happen because people want to be around people that are experts. But it has to start with who you are, what you're about, and how you feel inside. And it goes to where I sit now very comfortably is that all the external stuff is theatre, a stage, and it's only just there to entertain. And you should not let any of it affect you internally. Because when you do let the external world affect you internally, that's when you have illness, sickness, depression, anxiety. All these external issues are triggering internal problems. And when this awareness happens, I can't explain it. You look at everything and go, it shall pass.
I want to come back to a couple things that you said to make sure I understand and that our listeners understand as you were talking about. Well, let me ask this clarification. Are you saying that it's not about whether the external circumstances are hard or not, but it's how you're perceiving them and or experiencing them, and that through the wanting, if you want, I would say what you're calling clarity or inner knowing or some kind of waves of peace that exist within you, you can have those things, but you need to become a researcher and an expert on your interior world instead of focusing on the exterior. Did I get what you're saying?
Simply put, you shouldn't give two hoots about what's going on outside.
Yeah, because it is, you said it's a theater, which it is. Like we have actors and actresses that come on in front of us, they leave, experiences come and they go. And I was just listening to this woman who just rode her boat across the Atlantic Ocean by herself. And she said that was one of the things she learned. As bad as the storm could be, it wasn't going to last forever. As bad as that day was, it wasn't going to last forever. Everything passes. So I think that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, it's funny, I sometimes, and I try and explain this to people, that we sometimes can see that we're sitting up on the audience and we're observing the world. And there may be the government official, and there may be the policeman, or there may be the school teacher, or all the people who are on stage. And as a spirit sitting in this meat suit, we're observing, and we go, oh my God, I have to get involved here. And we run down to the stage hand and we go, can I have that suit? Thank you. Can I have put that on my hat? And yes, this the audience where have I got the script? And you jump onto the stage and you go, da, 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 da. And then they thank you, and you get off the stage and you run back up in the audience. You go, oh my God, why did I do that? Why did I get sucked into that? Because it's unnecessary. So that's how sometimes we should look at life on it. Yeah.
That's such a great analogy. That's just beautiful. How would you say you understood your longing for knowing yourself differently inside, and what have you found?
I don't think it just happens. I don't think we wake up one day and someone hits us with a pot in the head. And we go, oh, I think it's a long progression of curiosity.
Hmm.
I think it's a path that something may happen to make us question things. For me, I think one of the things which when people ask me, I can tell, I had a story about this, or like when I did my TEDx walking up the mountain and the light shining, and it was like the hero's journey, and everything just clicked in. I can't explain that. But it goes back to something before that. And it goes back to which a lot of people like and a lot of people don't like, and that's Donald Trump. And it goes back to, I can remember everybody loved Donald Trump. He wrote books, he was on TV, all the actors loved him, all the politicians loved him. There was this essence of this person, fake or real, whatever it be. But I'm looking from the outside, from a little country, looking into America and seeing this person. And suddenly, this man decided to run for elections. And everyone that liked him turned against him. Before he got elected, they turned against him. And I kind of looked at this theater and I went, something doesn't make sense here. Why can someone be so respected and liked in Hollywood and political, but when he decided to step out of that and go into something else? Now, I'm not a fan of him. I don't get involved in, I've no opinion on him. But it was that one thing that made me look at life and go, if everyone likes someone and then suddenly they hate him, what else in this world is really surface level feelings and opinions of everything around us?
Mm-hmm.
And that made me delve more into awareness.
So you're talking about awareness as a state of consciousness,
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
that when you said curiosity and also wanting, those are some of the ingredients that you've talked about to become an expert in your own awareness, so to speak. And as you've grown in this indescribable awareness, what more has become available to you?
I read a book called the Nagmanadi Scriptures. I don't know if you know it. And in it's I'm fascinated. I read an awful lot and I enjoy reading and I'm curious. I think that's probably my
Mm-hmm.
biggest course is curious. Or not course, but and in it there is a scripture and it's the origins of the world. And in the origins of the world, it talks about Apista, Sophia, which is fate and wisdom,
Mm.
who created the demiurge. And the demiurge said, I am the only God. And suddenly the source or God, whoever, said, you are not. And they, blinded him. But it was the demiurge who created the heaven, the earth, and all the saints and everything within it. And I found this fascinating. And when reading that, I questioned what, not questioned, but I also understand that when people are describing Sanskrit or deciphering Sanskrit, it's their own opinion that they're giving. It's
Mm-hmm.
their own interpretation. So I can only look at it what another person's interpretation is, turning it into English. And that made me sort of look at what is this world that we live in? Why are we here? What is the purpose for us to be here? And I also questioned, and how come if we are here and one belief of people think we're reincarnated, and which I do, and a lot of people think we just die. And I was trying to figure, why are we being reincarnated? Because part of this world is so wonderful, and part of this world is like hell.
Right.
And it says, why are we here? Are we here for an experience, or are we here because we were pulled into these bodies because to experience touch and taste, the senses that we have? And if we were tempted into these bodies by the archons, which were created by the demiurge, are we here trapped? And the only way that we need to get home back to source is actually to remember and to focus on when we're ready to leave here, be prepared to bypass the trappings of the heavens and all the archons and go back to source. And when going back to source, it's like a drop of water going back into the ocean. It's just comes part of the ocean. We've done the job. Source has picked up that energy, and we are just source. Maybe a bit deep for your audience.
No, my audience is used to this because if you listen to the Wisdom Wednesdays, we talk about this all the time. We say, or I say, that, our soul is a drop of the eternal ocean of love, and it's operating through form in order to remember itself and to return, right? And so the question is does form become the destination, which I find that trapping, versus form is a way to learn to do what you were talking about, which is to observe it and not be attached to it. So we're not trying to find our identity through proving who we are in the work world, or, like how much money we have, or I'm right, or any of those things. But we're here to have, like what you were saying, is to be up in the audience and observe the stage. We sometimes get on, we sometimes get off, but most of the time we don't get off. We forget to get off and we stay, way longer than the role deserves. And how can we remember, if you call it the beloved, while we're living in form?
Take a step back. I think desire is a trapping,
Mm,
and desire is trying to fulfill a gap that someone can't really home in on. And if you look at the billionaires in this world, we go, oh my God, they're billionaires. And if you look at billionaires, the next thing that some of them want to do is go to Mars. Why? Because it's that desire that they need to do the next thing. And it's tempt.
mm.
And instead of being disciplined and having gratitude for where you are and what you have.
And then longing, that gap becomes a longing for, you could say, the source or the divine or the beloved or home or returning. You talked about return before. Returning, I have 3 words: returning, remembering, and reconnecting.
Do you remember when we were speaking about, and I said there's different types of people here,
Mm-hmm.
and I was saying that there's hylics and there's psychics. Now, so the audience are aware that the Greek translation of psychic is not someone who reads cards, which everyone thinks is today.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually someone that is spirit based.
Mm.
And hylic is someone who is matter based. And a hylic would be a non character player that is in this world. And for those of your audience that play video games, they're the people in the corner that are part of it, but you can't interact with them, but they're there. So on this world, you could be walking through the airport and there could be lots of characters made of hylics, made of matter, who are here, but there could be only a very small percentage of psychic, spirit-based people. And it's the spirit-based people who have the energy to keep this construct alive. And this construct is powered by spirit, soul trapped, fueling the energy of this construct. It is like a battery hen caught in a cage, fueling this, because the construct needs spirit-based people to stay, to function.
Mm.
And the demiurge will requires spirit-based to have their souls trapped to keep it going. So they need it here. And everybody's job as a spirit base is trying to get home.
Mm.
And the Heilig is here to have fun and laugh and
Mm.
sex and whatever it may be. Where the spirit base, it's seeing everything and
Interesting.
observing and understanding.
I've, I mean, we did talk about it when I was on your podcast, but you spent more time with it here today in a way that I understand more deeply. So thank you for sharing that for sure. What practices do you have in your life on a somewhat regular basis to support your curiosity and consciousness or awareness?
I used to run around and light smelly candles and meditate and try to do all this thing because I wanted to connect
Hmm.
with the inner me. Now I do nothing. I go for a walk in the woods. I appreciate what we have. Try to be centered. Don't let anything upset or faze me. The one thing, if I have to say, which drives that energy, it's not meditation, it's music.
Mm.
And I think everybody tries to, oh, we need to meditate and we need to center and everything and bring up our chakras. And I go, no, I just need to listen to music because all we're trying to do is just raise our vibration.
Well, I love what you said. And actually, you are practicing by walking in the woods. That's attuning and energizing and nourishing. I mean, I also walk in the woods and I need it. Actually, it's like food for me. I also, gratitude really is a deep practice to really honestly and sincerely be grateful for whatever is in front of you that day. To practice that, I mean, you're not making it a practice, but you are practicing it. And
Where's
that's,
the sign? Practice.
yeah. No, but you know what? You're actually cultivating things that are nourishing and life giving and support positivity. And music is very life giving. And so you've found ways to support your awareness that feel alive to you.
Well, I think we go through different stages of life, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50. And as we get closer to, that we have less time on this life than what we actually have spent, I think the awareness kicks in. And it's about guilt and shame, in my opinion, and I feel, and this goes to with gratitude, is that I have said to people in their 40s about guilt and shame, they go, oh, no, no, no. But then when they turn into their 50s, they look at it again and go, you were right. It's like the passage of time that once you face all the guilt and shame, it could be small things that are irrelevant to anybody, but you have them. That once you face your guilt and shame, there is a freeness of the mind. There is a clearness in the body because you're no longer holding this energy
Mm-hmm.
that no longer serves you. And I always had issues with gratitude and still can't really get my head around gratitude. But there's one thing that I do, and I don't know, and I'll ask you this. There's one thing that I maybe have jumped past gratitude like a leapfrog for the people that are listening to this and pretending I'm a frog jumping, um, is humility.
Mm-hmm. I love humility.
Really humble
Yeah.
for what I have. My beautiful wife, my amazing kids, the house I live in, the place I live in. I'm just, oh my God, just so humble for what I have.
Mm. I love that. Joe, we do need to begin to wind down. And before we started, I said, you're going to have to come back and you are going to have to come back. I just feel like we scratched the surface of so many things. I want to echo humility, I think, or humbleness. I do think it is a form of gratitude in a certain kind of way, in a really deep way. I'd like to ask you a question. What do you think the purpose for life is?
Well, I think we've many purposes in life ourselves, but the purpose of life, I could give a deep understanding of it and say, oh, it's to do this and that. And I think it's just to be who you are
Awesome.
without judgment.
Before we started, I asked you what intention would you want for our listeners, and would you share that here?
For them to remember that whoever they are or wherever they are in their life, if they're having struggles, if their things aren't going right, they're allowed to stop in this very moment of time and press a big red buzzer, and the buzzer will make a big noise. And that buzzer is saying to them, for them to give themselves permission that it's okay where they are. And from this point, they can start anything from here. This is 0 point. And from here, wherever you feel, you can move because you have permission to start from now.
I love that. And if it's okay if I share what I heard you say, is that okay?
You can.
You said for them to love themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And be easy.
Be
Be easy.
easy.
I leave you with this. You are home, you are safe, and you are enough.
If people want to get a hold of you, Joe, how do they do that?
They can get a hold of me on my podcast. It's type in Joe Dalton, Breakthrough Brands, and they can find me on the podcast, or they just catch me on joedalton.ie. And if they want to chat with me, it's find me on LinkedIn.
Thank you, Joe. I so have loved having you on here today, all the way from Ireland, and all the way. And I always love listening to you. I find it fascinating, and I know our listeners will as well. Thank you all for listening here today. This is the Purpose for Life podcast. I'm your host, Suzanne Roberts, author of It's Deeper Than That and founder of The Great Reconnection. Subscribe and keep listening. Thank you for being here.